Golf Story kind of came out of nowhere at the Nintendo Indie Showcase. It was just a game that just popped up and it was like, yeah, coming out September, Golf Story, a golf RPG. Which kind of reminded me of the games like Mario Golf Advance Tour and Mario Golf on the Game Boy Color. I played a lot of Mario Golf Advance Tour and really loved it, so when they announced this game, didn't even know what it was until like a few weeks ago, and then I was really pumped. The September release date was a bit vague, and the whole time during September I was like, when's this coming out? When's this coming out? The end of September it finally came out, and I got to buy it, try it out, and I want to talk a bit about my thoughts on the game. So let's have a look at Golf Story for the Switch. Golf and story aren't two things that cross over very often. Nintendo attempted it with their Mario Golf games on the Game Boy Color and Game Boy Advance, and while those games are great, the story was very straight-laced and not entirely fleshed out. The developers of Golf Story take this subgenre of RPG golf and expand it upon in a way that the RPG portion is as prevalent as the golf. It literally is an RPG, from upgrading your stats and equipment to completing quests, side quests and exploring new environments. The structure of the game focuses around 8 different golf parks, having you play on each one of them and earn a scorecard, kinda like Pokemon. However, unlike Pokemon, the overworld itself is tiny. Besides some small paths and a couple extra areas, the only places in this game are the parks themselves. When you get to each new park, there's almost always some NPCs that you have to help out before you can play your round of golf, with a bunch of side quests active that you can use to earn experience points on new equipment. At first this structure is serviceable, as the chores you have to do aren't overly tedious, and the side quests are usually just golfing challenges that require you to hit your ball in a circle, which are good fun, at first. While there are several unique side quests like disc golf, mini golf, killing the undead, among others, a majority of these people just ask you to hit the ball in a circle. The rewards that you get from these are definitely worth it, but it feels like a grind. I guess this game really did capture the feel of an RPG. The main quests always manage to shake up what you're doing and don't fall into a formula, but there definitely were moments where the hints for what I was supposed to do didn't really point me in the direction I needed to go, and I spent a lot of the time just running around. When you do find those unique side quests, it's definitely a treat. Take disc golf for example, it completely changes up the controls and forces you to adapt to a different playstyle, just for a silly little quest. Moments like these are some of the highlights in Golf Story. The title of this game doesn't lie, it definitely has story. The dialogue and characters are the best part of the game, thanks to characters like Lara, your snarky rival, and Coach, your unwilling and mysterious coach. Even smaller NPCs are given a unique personality and funny dialogue, even if they aren't given a name. The mix of ages and backgrounds of these characters leads to some interesting interactions, and I wasn't lying when I said funny dialogue. I was laughing quite a bit. Unfortunately, your character is an exception to this in that he doesn't really grow like the other characters. He has his own background that isn't really explored enough, just thrown in every now and again. But the fact that his name is Player makes it as if we're supposed to be him. He's not a silent protagonist or anything, yet the game wants us to feel that his growth in this game is also our growth or something. It's a bit strange. Remember earlier when I said that the devs tried to make the RPG portion as prevalent as the golf portion? Well, I think they may have oversteered. You'll spend much more of your time in this game in cutscenes, exploring the world and completing rudimentary quests. Don't get me wrong, you'll be swinging a golf club a lot, but playing actual golf as in stroke play or match play only usually crops up as a reward for doing other stuff in the game. I understand that your character is an up and comer who has to spend his time digging in the dirt, but it's a golf game. I want to play some golf. This is made worse by the fact that every course only consists of 9 holes rather than 18. Golf Story is different to most golf games in that it uses a top-down 2D camera akin to the days of the NES. Despite this difference, it plays surprisingly not unlike its 3D brethren. You'll have to take into account distance of your shot, wind, hazards, slopes and all the rest. In terms of physics, it's extremely competent. Producing slopes on the green in top-down 2D is obviously a challenge. To read this, there's an arrow in the upper right corner of the screen, which didn't really take any time to get used to at all. And everything the ball touches produces a different satisfying sensation in the controller thanks to the HD rumble. Of course, as bizarre as Golf Story is, it was going to introduce some strange course hazards, which it definitely has. You can bounce your balls off of a turtle's back or have them carried away by moles and birds, which can be a help or a hindrance. Each new course usually has its own gimmick, some better than others. Some courses even have a par 6 hole for added challenge. The ZL and ZR buttons and precision mode are something I found particularly useful. Rather than guessing how far your ball will go, you can immediately reduce your shot distance with a combination of the ZR and ZL buttons, and then use precision mode to move your cursor to exactly where you want it to go. Hit point mode allows you to change your shot trajectory. There are a bunch of different controls for making the shot easier for you. Just remember to always be cautious of what buttons you're pressing before you begin your swing. You end up inputting so many commands before your shot that it's easy to trip yourself up. And after you've begun your swing, there's no going back, so be careful. My biggest complaint about the game is that there's not enough golf. My second biggest complaint is that the golf is way too easy. The actual holes on the green seem really big, making putting and chip-ins really easy. In fact, chip-ins are probably easier than putting, despite characters telling you otherwise. In Mario Golf Total Tour, it took me months to get my first albatross. In Golf Story, I could get back-to-back albatrosses and hole-in-ones. It was ridiculous. And in match play, not a single one of your opponents knows how to play golf. Even the best opponents will barely fall under par. Those people new to golf games might appreciate this, but for me, it started to make the game a little boring. The difficulty may have been harder had I not spent the whole time leveling up my character, but the only stat that really experiences substantial improvement is your drive. Seeing how easy it is to hit the ball into the hole from the green, rough or bunker, I don't know how much of an impact a lower level would have had. Once you've completed stroke play and match play on a course, you'll never have to replay it again to progress in the story, but you can always go back to earn a birdie, eagle or albatross medals for your scorecard. Now, I'm the type of person who is never really bothered by bugs or glitches. In fact, some of the funnier glitches in games are pretty endearing. But it can't go without saying that at launch this game is packed to the brim with noticeable glitches. I'm talking game breaking glitches, soft locks, the camera not moving, being unable to move rooms, parts of the screen cut into black frames and more. It didn't ruin the experience for me, but some people's progress has been completely halted due to glitches, which is pretty scary. The game has a really cool 8-bit style golf game, but don't play it, because you'll get stuck in it, unable to quit out. Golf Story is heavy on the story and a little light on the golf. Tapping into a subgenre of sports games that is criminally lacking in titles, Golf Story shines as something a lot more substantial than its predecessors. It lays down a foundation that I truly hope other companies copy and improve upon. I would have liked it a bit more if the golf didn't feel supplementary to the story, and rather that there was more of a balance between the two. That being said, even though the game's difficulty is a little questionable, Sidebar Games has managed to create a competent and fun 2D golf experience that I would love for them to revisit and tweak, perhaps in a sequel. This game gets the Jamiethepayne stamp of goodness. Thanks for watching another Jamiethepayne review, and have fun playing video games.